They did put together the best team on the park. They did pick all the best players. There will still be that. But can you imagine, by the way, if they did that against the Celtics? I mean, God, that would be hard to watch. We got all the best guys on one team and then the lowly Celtics, and I love the Celtics. But, man, that would be such big brother picking on little brother. The Warriors need the Cavs in every way. What I don't like is Joe Lacob saying they were the better team last year. I mean, it may be right, but it's still the loser thing to say. I mean, just because you're right doesn't make you right, Stephen A. Just because you're right certainly doesn't make you likable, and I'm aware who's saying that. I'm aware that my goal every time I interact with you two is to be right. But this is like walking around the hallways at ESPN saying, you know, I'm taller than you, to everyone that's shorter. It might be right, but that doesn't absolve you of how it comes off. And Lacob saying that they're the better team despite what happened on the floor just comes off as a loser thing to say.
He shouldn't have said they were the better team because they weren't the better team or they would have won. In a best-of-7 in the NBA, the best team always wins. Always wins. And by the way, part of being a team is the hothead, the guy who's erratic the behavior can be erratic in key moments when the adrenaline's going. Can he keep it together? Can he walk that fine line? Draymond, one more flagrant and he's going to be suspended a game. LeBron prodded him. And he lost his temper and did what he did, and he got called for it retroactively and suspended a game. Well, that's part of being a team. So, no, they weren't better. It was very, very, very close. But they were not the better team. And, of course, they need to have this rubber match, it's called. In boxing, if two fighters split the first two fights, the third fight is the rubber match because it bounces one way or another, and the winner wins the trilogy and this era in this case. This is an amazing clash of the Titans finals. Of course, everyone wants to see, other than people who live in Boston, and they're a very easy team to root for, but everyone wants to see the Cavs and the Warriors in the rubber match. But I want to get to what he said about being light years ahead of everyone when he said that last year. Because he's really talking talking organizationally they're light years ahead. Now, you may disagree with that. You could point to the Spurs or maybe a couple other teams. But the fact of the matter is, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, stop me when you get to a top 3 pick. Eventually, they sign a premier free agent who was the number 2 overall pick. And that's good on them. Like other teams have done that before. The Lakers dynasty, you know, it relied first on trading for Kareem, later on signing Shaquille O'Neal. Those were also high-level trades and free agency signings, right? So that happens from time to time. But if you look at structurally what that team did, they drafted players other teams passed on. They put them together. They coached them up. They optimized their potential. Even when they had a coach who seemed successful, a popular coach with the players in Mark Jackson, they noticed that they didn't like the way the offense was working. They hired another coach. Those all speak to kind of organizational strengths. So he was right about that. He's said controversial things in the past that he's been right about, even if the team itself didn't win because LeBron James is on the other team and there's only one LeBron. He's not wrong about how strong the organization is. He is wrong about saying they were the better team. They weren't.
Yeah, I'm glad you got back to that point because I didn't understand where the hell you were going, whether it was to China, Japan, or wherever the hell you went with all of that stuff. I mean, my goodness. Why? Who cares about all of that? This is about what this man said about this particular potential matchup. He wants the Cavs. I have zero problem with what Joe Lacob said, and I mean zero. And I'm kind of wondering, Will Kane, especially with you, whether or not you've ever competed in your life. I mean, I know you think you do on this show. I'm here to tell you clearly you do not. But that's a different thing. Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. Zip it. I'm talking. Here's the deal. Joe Lacob, the owner of the Golden State Warriors, first of all, it's not always the case that the best team wins. That is not always the case. There are times in the NBA, the history of the NBA Finals, I thought the better team lost, but we can touch on that another day. Let me say, oh, stop it. That's ignorant. The bottom line is this.
Best team always wins.
If you're Joe Lacob, you want the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know why? They got the best player in the world. And more importantly, they have what you believe belongs to you. I am proud that Joe Lacob said it publicly because he certainly told that to me. So did other members of the organization. They all felt that way. They all still feel that way. They believe that they were robbed of an NBA championship, and damn it, I agree with them. If Draymond Green had not gotten suspended, the Golden State Warriors would have taken the Cleveland Cavaliers out in that Game 5, and that would have been a wrap. So with all of that being said,
Stephen A., how can
here's
you
the
say
bottom
that?
line. Hold on. I'm not explaining that. I've explained to you 1,000 times. If you don't get it, you're not going to get it. Here's the deal.
He knew he'd be suspended.
I love the fact that a guy that is going to the NBA Finals for the third consecutive year is like, yo, we don't just want the title, we want them. That, to me, is what champions are made of, and you should never have a problem with hearing that.
All of us agree on that part. All of us. I think Max said it, I said it, you said it. That part's over. Wanting the Cavs, we all agree on. Now,
I said saying it.
Okay, hey, Stephen A., you played college basketball, right?
I tried.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I played.
Before you indict my competitiveness, you might do your research on my little athletic history. Granted, it was at scrub, but I've competed. But I don't go around talking about it. You know why I don't go around talking about it? Because discretion is the better part of valor. And that's my point of Joe Lacob. He doesn't need to be talking about it. I agree with you, by the way. Max is wrong. The better team does not always win in the NBA. Max, was Golden State the better team than Dallas in 2007 when the 8 seed beat the 1 seed? It was a 7-game series. Look, Max, I respect the whole it happened on the floor thing. That's a ridiculous argument.
7 games in the NBA.
Will. I agree with you, Will.
Basketball's not luck dependent to the extent baseball or football is. A best of
Max,
7, you can say the
Lakers were better. The Lakers were better than Boston in 2010 as a team. They were better.
Yes, the best
with
team
KG,
wins.
with Ray Allen, with Paul Pierce, with Rondo, with Perkins, with Rasheed Wallace. They were better.
That's right.
The Lakers were, the Pistons were better than the Lakers.
You can argue if it comes down to the wire in a Game 7, it's essentially a toss-up. Essentially, I get that argument. But in the end, one team, that's why they play, and one team won. They had 7 games to see who was better in the NBA, not luck dependent. Better teams win.
You've attached yourself to the conclusion, even though we've given you examples of clearly the better team losing. We're not going to pull you off.
Wrong on the court.
Okay. Back to whether or not he needed to say this. He should have said this, Stephen A. You don't have to go around saying this. You shouldn't go around saying this. Even though the better team can lose, I disagree with Max, you shouldn't say it. It's a loser thing to say. You have to prove it on the court. That's why they need the Cavs. Don't say this.
Stephen A., I need you to clarify about Draymond Green. I understand you say had he not been suspended, but you've never addressed this point. If you know the next flagrant gets you suspended and you allow yourself to be provoked and kick and then you get suspended, how is that not part of the team? How can you say that, just put that aside and say had he not been suspended, they'd have won?
Max, I have explained this on numerous occasions. Your attitude is just because you refuse to accept something, you accuse people of not explaining it. I have explained it on numerous occasions. I have said to you, number one, I never felt that it was right for him to receive the flagrant that ultimately got him suspended because he was never even called. Hold on. This is my belief. I didn't say it. I understand it's my belief. I said to you, I hated the fact that it wasn't even a foul called during the game, yet it's the NBA Finals, and the league could go back to their league office with a 3-1 deficit staring the league in the face, with everybody and their mother knowing that the series ending in less than 6 games is bad for everybody, and conveniently, you issue both of them flagrants to a point where ultimately Draymond was going to be the one suspended. I have been on the record. I have stated that in many cases. Will, hold on, Max. I got to get back to Will because Will said something. Let me tell you something, Will. You can talk about it being bad all you want to. It would be bad if this were immediately following the loss. No, this man waited until the NBA Finals is about to take place next week to say it. That is beautiful. Now, if he said it last June, that would be different. But to say it now, a year later, when you're about to face them again, beforehand, I love it. Joe Lacob, mwah,
so was Mohamed
Sanu, it's a beautiful statement. I love it. That's what champions are made of. That's what champions are made of.
Division I water polo player.
Into the bench. Into the bench. Scrub, walk on.
Water polo, you got to be in some kind of shape. I'll give you that. You got to compete at water polo.
Don't test me, Max.
A new level of respect for Will Power, who will be back with us a little later in the show. When we get back, LeBron James
he's going to be back?
did something in Game 4 that he'd never done before, which got us thinking, how much of a hit has his reputation taken? We will tell you that a little later in the show. But coming up next, Dan Quinn in the house. He'll join us to talk about that Super Bowl loss and how the Falcons will rebound. It's First Take. Stay here. How we doing?
It's okay.